What's going on, everyone? Kevin Durant and the Nets owner, Joe Tsai, have officially sat down and met based on reports. And surprise, surprise, Kevin Durant did not rescind his trade request. The Brooklyn Nets were doing everything they could to try to get Kevin Durant to stay with the Nets. They were even posting images on Instagram, finally, of Kyrie Irving and trying to just do whatever they could to persuade Kevin Durant. But ultimately, he decided, no, I still want out. I still want to be traded. So I imagine that something is going to get worked out rather quickly. However, per a report by Shams, Kevin Durant did sit down with Joe Tsai and they did talk. And in that talk, he said that Kevin Durant basically told Tsai, it's me or Sean Marks and Steve Nash. That based on the Shams report, that is what Kevin Durant told Joe Tsai. Here's why that is very interesting. Now, first off, usually when a player wants a coach gone, guess what? You usually get rid of the coach, right? We see it time and time again. But Steve Nash was Kevin Durant's guy. One of the reasons they went and got Steve Nash is because of Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant wanted Steve Nash, right? And then the whole Kyrie, like, we don't need no coach and this, that, and the other. Like, that was the whole point. Like, Steve Nash and Kevin Durant were friends. They worked out together, all that stuff. And they wanted KD to be as comfortable as possible. So they went and got Steve Nash. Now, if they had to fire Steve Nash to keep KD there, absolutely, he would probably be gone. But that doesn't make any sense because the whole reason Steve Nash hasn't been fired is because Kevin Durant was his boy. But granted, maybe KD has changed his mind. Maybe he's just like, hey, I don't think he's a good coach. He's a good friend, but not a good coach. And, you've kept him here for me, thinking that I wanted him here, but I don't want that anymore. Things may have changed. Now, the Sean Marks thing is very, very interesting because, one, Sean Marks is the GM. Two, Sean Marks, we've heard those reports, right, a couple weeks back of Sean Marks getting an extension. He's going to get an extension. And then there was a report immediately that came out that said, no. Sean Marks isn't getting an extension. He's actually on the chopping block. He may end up getting fired because of this situation. And so now, in that report, it didn't say that it's because KD wanted him gone, but that, this has been such a huge disaster. Sean Marks, he ain't getting an extension. He could lose his job over this Kyrie KD thing. So now you're in a position to where your head coach and your GM both have to be gone if you want to keep Kevin Durant. And now some of you might be thinking, if you're Sean Marks, just trade KD immediately. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, right? He's got to sit there and talk to Joe Tsai. He doesn't want to do anything because, he's going to want to get a position elsewhere, stuff like that. You don't want to burn your bridges. But I do think still that it's very likely Kevin Durant might get traded rather soon. Joe Tsai will probably sit down and talk to Steve Nash and Sean Marks and just say, hey, this was the ultimatum. And in some cases, maybe you could make an argument to fire the coach and the GM, in favor of your superstar. In this situation, absolutely not. If you're Joe Tsai, if you want to fire Steve Nash, okay. Because Steve Nash, the only reason he's the head coach is because of Sean Marks and Kevin Durant. That is the only reason. So if you want to get rid of Steve Nash and move on to a new coach, okay, fine. I have no problems with that. But to fire your GM over Kevin Durant, no, forget it. Like, if I'm Joe Tsai, I'm telling him, all right, well, I'll tell Sean Marks to get rid of you immediately. Because they have given Kevin Durant every single thing that he wants. I mean, to a point where it's sickening. And every single time, we get to the same result. KD, everywhere he's gone, has been unhappy in some form or another and has left OKC. He left the Warriors, which was probably the best place ever for him. And now he's leaving the Brooklyn Nets. And all these teams give him what he wants, and especially the Nets. The Nets did everything that Kyrie and KD asked and then some to try to keep them happy and with the team. And Kevin Durant still left. So what? You're gonna fire your GM. You're gonna fire your head coach. And you're gonna hope that what? That's gonna get KD to buy in. Well, what's the next thing? In like a month, a week, a year. Like, what is the next thing that Kevin Durant's like? Well, I don't want that anymore. Like, if I'm Joe Tsai, I gave you a chance to rescind it. You decided not to rescind it. All right, you're gone. And if he's getting traded, I think right now it's the Boston Celtics. I think that's the only place that Kevin Durant can really get traded currently, like right at this moment. And it's a good enough, and they could get a good enough package to still contend, right? Package of Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Derek White, and like 3 firsts, I think would be more than enough to acquire Kevin Durant. And it's a move that the Celtics could make, and it wouldn't gut their team. You still got Brogdon, you got Grant Williams. You ended up going and getting Gallo, and they got the Bruno on their roster right now, trying to earn a roster spot. They got a couple pieces. They still got open roster spots to kind of maybe find that diamond in the rough. So Boston could get Kevin Durant, meet the trade package, and still be a really good team, still be a really good contender. So I just think that Boston makes the most sense. But if you are Joe Tsai, you're telling Sean Marks, get rid of everybody. Like, get rid of Kevin Durant. Get rid of Kyrie Irving. It's just, at this point, like, why would you want to keep Kevin Durant? He's burned you twice, and now if the Shams report is true, he wants you to fire your GM and head coach. Now, again, Steve Nash, not a big deal. Sean Marks, is he the greatest GM ever? Probably not. But Sean Marks was Tsai's guy. Like, they had like a relate. That's how he got the position. So it's like, I don't like. And if you're Joe Tsai, do you really want to keep playing this game where it's like, well, the only way I'm coming back is if you do this. If you don't do this, I want to be traded. And then they do that, and then it's like, okay, well, now I want you to do this. Like, at some point, you just got to say, all right, enough is enough. Like, dude, you're good, but you're pushing 40, man. Like, yeah, you've only played 90 games in the last 3 seasons. Like, you're good, but you haven't done anything for us. We've had 1 playoff series win since you came. Like, no, it's okay. You tell you what, you go to another team. You go destroy Boston, and in 2 years when you're unhappy, then Boston can trade you somewhere else, and you can just keep doing this chain. Like, that would be my answer if I was the Brooklyn Nets. But last little thing is so far, we didn't hear any report about Kyrie yet. I'm sure that there'll be something, but we haven't heard any report on Kyrie in that conversation. You got to imagine that Joe Tsai also spoke to Kevin Durant about Kyrie, unless it was quick. Unless it was just like he sat down, he said, hey, are you staying or are you going? What's happening? And Katie was like, I still want to be traded. And Joe Tsai was like, all right. And he was like, unless you want to get rid of Sean Marks and Steve Nash, I want to be traded, and maybe Joe Tsai was like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. Thank you. And it was just brief, but I imagine it was probably a solid conversation. And Kyrie Irving had to have been brought up at some point, right? All the reports, all the trades, stuff like that. I have talked about how I still think Kyrie Irving gets traded. I still think the Nets end up moving him, especially now that Kevin Durant still wants to be traded. I just think I don't see them keeping Kyrie after trading Kevin Durant, especially if they end up getting like a Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. They're not going to want to get these new players and add Kyrie the headache to that. I think Kyrie's gone, Kevin Durant's gone. If they don't fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, according to Shams reports, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think. I mean, Steve Nash, yeah, I could see Steve Nash going, but as far as Sean Marks, I don't think that Joe Tsai would not fire him. I just think that it would be for a different reason other than because Kevin Durant wants it. Because it's just, why? Like, why are you going to cave into those demands? And then maybe he rides it out for this season, and the next season he wants to be traded again because it's something else. It's the new coach. It's the new, it's the guy that, restocks the towels. Like, whatever. It's like every day it's something new. And so with Kyrie, I still think Kyrie goes. I know the Brooklyn Nets showed images of Kyrie at the event and stuff like that. But it was, one, it was a Brooklyn event, and two, it's just funny that happened right when right when they're about to have a meeting with Kevin Durant to try to convince him to stay. They haven't shown Kyrie Irving once this offseason. He's not on any of the promotion posters, nothing. He's on literally nothing. And 2 days before they're supposed to meet with Kevin Durant, all of a sudden they're posting Kyrie on his social media about an event and showing that the players for the Nets showed up, but don't have any pictures of like Kyrie and the net players like hanging out, laughing, having a good time, showing that chemistry. Nothing. It's like all the players, and then it's like Kyrie. And Kyrie's like taking pictures with other people. Like, so what? He didn't like go over and say hi to like anybody. Like, it just, yeah, I don't really buy it. But maybe they keep him. But if you're trading Kevin Durant, why are you keeping Kyrie Irving? Makes no sense. And if Kyrie leaves, which now is even more likely because Kevin Durant isn't there, then you lose Kyrie for nothing. But as always, pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think about Kevin Durant continuing to want to be traded, holding strong on his trade request? Like I said, it's no shocker. I think everybody knew that was going to be the result. The Nets, they just, you had that good faith conversation to sit down and say, hey, we still want you here. What can we do to keep you here? And Kevin Durant probably said, fire Steve Nash and fire Sean Marks, and maybe you could keep me. And I'm sure maybe we'll get some more reports on this stuff. Like, this literally just dropped. So I imagine more details, more information will come out as we move on throughout the day and maybe even tomorrow, stuff like that. But, how do you feel about it? What would you do if you were the Brooklyn Nets? Would you fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks to keep Kevin Durant? Would you fire both of them and still trade Kevin Durant? Or do you trade Kevin Durant and keep at least Sean Marks? Like I said, Steve Nash, if you don't want to keep him, don't keep him. But it's just, that was odd because Steve Nash was KD's guy. But anyway, however you feel about it, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.